It's like a tidal wave on my forehead. What have I done to this hair? Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. And this video is actually inspired by a comment Goody Miller left absolutely ages ago. Basically about making school crafts. Like the volcanoes, the macaroni art, all that kind of really good? Is that the word I'm looking for? Is the word I'm looking for good stuff? I don't know. But all that kind of stuff. So today I thought I would attempt to make an exploding volcano. The whole baking soda, vinegar, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so I've got some supplies. I thought I would use a bit of cardboard as kind of the base for this volcano. I've never actually made one before, and I haven't looked at how to do it or anything like that, so I might be making it a different way than what's considered the norm. But it's a volcano. I'm pretty sure I know how to make one. And then I've also got some wire mesh to act as the frame, and I think that's what I want to start off doing first. But I'm gonna wear gloves because this chicken wire stuff, it shreds you to bits. It absolutely destroys you, so you need gloves. I used to use loads of this back in my uni days, and my hands were ripped to shreds. One time I was using this, it ripped the back of my shorts all the way down, so it was just a complete line of like arse, and I didn't realise, and I was wearing the same shorts I went to work in. So I'd done some work in the studio, then I'd went to work, I'd stopped at a petrol station, I'd done loads of other things before I got to work, not realising that my ass was hanging out my shorts because of this stuff. So you've been warned, be careful of it, it's a nightmare. So I'm definitely going to put some gloves on. And I only realised that it had ripped my shorts in half by the time I got to work, and my friend said to us, "What's happened to your shorts?" And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" And they're like, "Your ass is hanging out." And obviously I looked behind and realised what had happened. Okay, so let's get a bit of this cut off first. So now I want to attempt to kind of mold this into a volcano. See, with stuff like this, I like to just kind of play around with it and see what I can do, rather than have like a specific kind of plan or something like that. I think it's more fun doing it this way. Plus chicken wire, it's super like flexible and moldable and stuff. I'm gonna cut a bit of this off. This is far too big. And then I'm thinking for obviously the middle bit of the volcano that you're gonna put the baking soda and the vinegar and all that kind of stuff in. I would just use a little cap from a spray paint can, and if we mold this so that that can fit into there. Also as well, like volcanoes, they're all different kinds of shapes and sizes. It doesn't need to be a perfect triangle. Is this gonna look like a volcano? It's not gonna look like a volcano at all. Just need to mush it down a bit. Yeah, I think that looks kind of good. That doesn't look like a great shape for a volcano, but volcanoes, they're not perfect triangles. They're all like rocky and lumpy and all sorts. So if any kids out there are making a volcano and your teacher says that's not what a volcano looks like, you say you're wrong. You're wrong, teacher. Volcanoes look like all sorts of things. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. We'll move on to the next step. So I think normally with these volcano projects, they would paper mache it with newspaper, but I forgot to buy some newspaper. So I'm just gonna use regular, normal, like computer printer paper, which I think will be fine. And we're going to need some PVA glue, and we're probably just gonna need quite a lot of it. Shove it in our bowl, and then just add a little tiny bit of water. And we'll mix that up. So we're gonna take our volcano, and then just dunk our bits of paper into here. I forgot how messy doing stuff like this is. Kind of fun though, I like it. And then I'm just wanting to go around the entire outside of this, cover the entire frame. And I'm not sticking my volcano onto the actual cardboard because I'm using a ton of glue anyway, so it'll stick to it just fine. The thing is as well, when I was at school, I don't think we ever used to do this. Like I know in the States, doing kind of like show and tell and science fairs and all that kind of stuff, I think it's very popular. In the UK, I don't think it's a thing. It wasn't when I was at school anyway, in my area. So we never used to get to do like the volcanoes or the potato clocks or any of that kind of fun stuff. And it's a shame really, because I would like that. When I was at school, I would have really enjoyed to do like a science fair, and I think they get like prizes. They get like first prize or second prize or whatever. In the UK we don't do like show and tell and stuff either. I think that's quite popular in the States. But also I was a painfully shy child at school, so I don't think any of that stuff would have necessarily appealed to us back then. It does now as an adult, but not as a kid. I was that painfully shy at school that one time we had like a drama lesson, and the drama teacher said that in the next lesson we're going to be doing this kind of like theatre thing or whatever, like a practice thing, and it's going to be filmed, and we have to watch the film back and review our acting skills to see where we can improve. And me being incredibly shy, not wanting to do something like that, not wanting any attention at all, and not wanting to have to look at myself on camera, speaking and acting. It literally, it sent shivers down my back. I was terrified. So I ended up making a plan, and I wrote a letter to my drama teacher explaining that I was in some sort of like witness protection kind of thing, and that I wasn't actually allowed to be filmed. Something crazy like that, and I don't think he believed us at all, but obviously realised the desperation in me to write something as ridiculous as that, and I got away with it. I didn't end up having to do it. But can you imagine me writing my drama teacher a letter saying I was in the witness protection thing and that I wasn't allowed to be filmed? That's how bad it was. Like in school, I don't think I did a single PE lesson. I don't think I did a single one, because I would always write myself a sick note out, pretending to be like one of my parents, saying that I had a bad ankle, a bad knee, a bad whatever it was, just to get out of PE, because I hated it. And it got to the point where I would go into PE and my teacher wouldn't even ask for my note. They wouldn't ask for it, they wouldn't ask to see it or anything. They would just tell me to walk around the field. That's the kind of kid I was. Okay, I was a proper loser. But look at me now. I've come on leaps and bounds. It's a strange one though, because in primary school I wasn't that shy. It was when I got to secondary school I became super shy. In primary school I was actually the lead in a play. We did the nativity thing and I was Jesus, and I had lots of solos and everything. Sung my little heart out. That was obviously before my testicles dropped and I could actually hold a note. Now I wouldn't have a chance. But yeah, it all just went downhill once I got to secondary school. I don't know what happened to us.
Because you're gay.
But I absolutely hated secondary school. I was desperate to get out of there. It got to the point when I was in, I think like year 11, the final year of school, I was counting down the days of when I could literally leave and never ever look back again, because I just couldn't stand it. And what annoyed me more than anything is that adults at the time would tell you that, oh, school's the best time of your life, you'll miss it when you don't have it, etc, etc. Cherish it while you can. But they didn't realise, yes, you may have really enjoyed school. You may have had a really good experience at school, but not everyone does. Some people's experience at school is absolute hell on earth, and I just couldn't wait to get out of it. And I still haven't changed my mind. It was still the worst 5 years of my life. But if by chance there are any kids watching and they're in secondary school or whatever and they absolutely hate school, just know that it gets a million times better. And I'm telling you that from experience. Seriously, it gets so much better, because it can be so hard, it can be awful, it really can. My heart goes out to you, it really does, because I absolutely hated it. Felt like that was a proper little motivational talk from me, wasn't it? You're welcome if I helped anyone. Okay, I think it's looking good so far. I told you have to trust the process. That's looking like a volcano. It's a little bit rough, but we're going to get it painted, it's fine. But I still want to add some little extra bits. So especially around the top here, just to try and hide this little paint cap as much as I can. And then a little bit around the bottom as well. Just some little finishing touches. Be as professional as we can. Because I'm aiming for that first prize at the science fair. Do they win any prizes? Like actual prizes? I know they win like a trophy and stuff, but do they win like money or something, or sweets? Because if you don't win like a proper prize, I'm not interested. Or at least like a Terry's chocolate orange or something. That's what they should do. Give everyone a Terry's chocolate orange. Even the participants, everyone deserves a Terry's chocolate orange. But people from the States will have to let me know if yous actually do that at school. Do like science fairs and show and tell and everything. I'm only going by what I see in your kind of movies and TV shows. I don't know what actual genuine school life or just American life is like. I don't know whether anyone has any kind of assumptions, not necessarily assumptions, what's the word I'm thinking of, from basically like TV shows and stuff, of what they think British schools are like. But I can tell you, like the TV shows and all that kind of stuff, it's not like that at school at all. In my school you would have like the kids who smoked, and they would go behind like the gym around the corner and stuff, and they'd always get told off. I don't know what else they did behind the gym, because I wasn't a part of that group. I don't know whether they were like giving each other blowjobs or something. Probably. But one thing we do have in schools in the UK are school uniforms. Every school has a uniform. On very, very special days, you were allowed to like pay £1 and you could wear your normal clothes. But any other day of the week, it was school uniform. We didn't have blazers because we weren't like a fancy school. But a lot of schools had like blazers, trousers, like shirt, tie, all that kind of stuff. It was horrible. I have put so much glue on this, it's unreal. I don't think this is ever going to dry. Right, I think I might be done. At the end of the day, anything I've missed, I can fix with paint later, so it's not too bad. So that's what my volcano is looking like at the moment. I think I've done a really good job of that, actually. I think it's going to look super cool once it's done. But I'll leave that to set and dry and everything like that. I think it's going to take a good week because I've piled the glue on. I might scrape a bit of this off, actually. And then we can start painting it and adding some details and covering any of the shitty parts up. Okay, so I'm back and I've got my volcano. It's fully dry. It took ages, it took so long, but I don't think that's looking too bad. I've got the vision in my head, I can already see how this is gonna look. But anyway, I've got some paint, I've got a bag of little trees, and now it's just time to paint, decorate, and bring this volcano to life. Okay, so I think I'm pretty pleased with what I've done so far. I think it's actually looking really, really good. It does need tidying up, and it does need way more detail adding to it because, I don't know, it's a little bit too bare. And I have a few other plans for it, just some like highlights and, you know, extra little finishing touches. But look at that, that is a volcano. That's 100% a volcano. I'm actually kind of proud of myself, you know. I think this doesn't look too bad at all. But I'm going to tidy it up and add all those little details off camera. And then we'll come back here, I think, tomorrow. And I'll show you what it looks like. We'll test it out and see if this volcano actually works. That's the whole point of it. I want it to be very volcanic. Okay, so my volcano is finished. Look at that. Look at all the detail. I've added some little stripes for the road. I also added some light bits with the white paint, but I think I might have gotten a little bit too carried away. So I think we're gonna have to call that snow. There's just so much white all over the place. I don't know why I added so much. But now it's time to test this volcano out and see if I can get it to work. So I've got some bicarbonate of soda, just some regular bicarb. I think you can use baking powder and stuff. It'll do the same thing. And I'm just going to dump loads of it in here. The thing is, I don't know how much you're supposed to put in, but I want this to be like really impressive. I don't think you can have too much, can you? Right, I think that'll do. And then I've got some distilled vinegar. I absolutely hate the smell of vinegar. And I think normally people would just add the vinegar into there and call it a day, but I wanted to add a little twist. So I thought I'd put red food colouring in with the vinegar, and then that might make a more red kind of lava explosion. Don't know whether it's going to do anything or whether it's a waste of time and a stupid idea, but we'll soon see. Oh, perfect. Okay, so now it's time to add our vinegar and see if this volcano explodes. Oh, the horror, everyone's dead, they've all died. It was actually quite anticlimactic. It doesn't last as long as I thought. I don't know, I thought it was going to be a bit more bubbly and last a bit longer. It doesn't last very long at all. It's going to end up coming off my table as well. The red food colouring though, I think that was a really good idea. You definitely saw the red lava-like kind of, you know, stuff happening, so that was good. And another thing I'm thinking is it's a hell of a lot of work and a hell of a lot of effort to make this volcano thing for it to then obviously pour vinegar all over your masterpiece and then it just be ruined. But I suppose that's the whole point, you know, it's just like a little school craft thing, and I think if I submitted this with all the other students, I would win first prize. I would kick all their other asses, their little potato clocks and stuff, and their little crappy volcanoes, mine would beat theirs 100%. I think I've done a really good job. So I suppose that just about does it for today's video. Hopefully you have enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And let me know if you've ever made one of these volcano experiment things with the baking soda and the vinegar and stuff. And whether yours look better than mine. I don't think it will have because mine looks really good. But still, you know, yours might have looked okay. But I'll see you next week for a brand new video. The thing is, this is a brand new t-shirt and I've got food colouring on it already. It better wash out. I can't have ruined this t-shirt. I've literally, this is the first time I've worn it and I've got food colouring on it. I can never have nice things.